The smell of burning corn still haunts me. 40 acres of heritage seed gone, turned into a smoking graveyard under an Iowa sunrise. The soil crunched like shattered glass beneath my boots, the air thick with gasoline and betrayal. And the one who did it, my HOA president, thought she'd just taught a farmer a lesson. She didn't realize she'd just committed federal agricultural terrorism on a $2 million Insured research project. My name's Ezra Caldwell. 6 months before that fire, I thought I'd found peace. After 23 years as an agricultural engineer for Dow Chemical, I was sick of boardrooms, metrics, and bean counters who thought soil was just another spreadsheet. When my eccentric Uncle Silas passed, he left me 47 acres of farmland with soil black as night and a farmhouse older than the Civil War. It was perfect. My wife Nora left her Chicago library job. Our daughter Iris couldn't stop filming sunsets over cornfields for TikTok. Uncle Silas had spent decades preserving rare heirloom corn varieties jewels with names like Cherokee Flint and Glass Gem. I reached out to Dr. Rachel Yamamoto at the University of Iowa. When she learned what I had, she said, "Ezra, these seeds are worth more than gold." We registered the land as a heritage seed preservation project, and before long my small farm was part of a federally recognized research program complete with a $2.1 million insurance policy. I thought my biggest challenge would be keeping deer out of the field. Then I met my neighbor, Delilah Thornfield. Delilah was 47, recently divorced, smelling like vanilla perfume and revenge. She moved into the HOA-controlled subdivision bordering my property, Millbrook Manor Estates. 23 identical houses, one self-appointed queen. She ambushed me at the mailbox one morning, her little dog trembling in her designer handbag. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, "your agricultural activity lowers property values." I laughed. "Ma'am, this land's been farmed since 1847. Your subdivision's younger than my tractor." Her smile froze mid-air. "We'll see about that." From that day, she made my life a sport. Noise complaints about my 1982 John Deere at dawn. Zoning violations for unauthorized commercial farming. Anonymous EPA reports about pesticide use even though I farmed fully organic. Every single complaint died when officials saw my research partnership and grandfathered farm rights. But Karen didn't like losing. She patrolled my fence line every day, snapping photos with her iPad like a paparazzi of misery. One July morning, I found rows of corn dying in perfect rectangles. Herbicide burns. Boot prints leading straight from her yard. When I confronted her, she fluttered her fake lashes. "Oh, must have been overspray from my dandelion treatment." "Delilah," I said, "dandelions don't grow in rectangles." Her eyes went flat. "Are you accusing me of lying, Mr. Caldwell? I'm calling you creatively destructive." By August, she turned to lawfare weaponizing bureaucracy. She used a new township noise ordinance to fine me $500 a day for starting the tractor at 6:30. Problem for her: Iowa's Right to Farm statute protects agricultural operations older than nearby residential zones. My farm beat her HOA by 72 years. When I quoted the law to her cousin, the township inspector, conveniently issuing her complaints, he looked like I'd recited witchcraft. That's when I discovered something delicious. Her pristine white fence, the pride of her manicured property, crossed 3 feet into my land. I got it surveyed and hand-delivered the notice. She opened the door in a bathrobe and green face mask. "You can't prove anything," she screamed. "Sure can," I said, and I already did. Her retaliation was relentless. Fake EPA reports, fabricated OSHA claims, even IRS complaints about unreported farm income. But every false submission left a digital footprint, and through FOIA requests, I traced all of them back to her IP address. She'd created a small army of imaginary concerned citizens. The sheriff chuckled when I showed him. "Document everything, Ezra," he said. She's spiraling. Then came the twist that changed everything. During one of those bogus inspections, an OSHA agent noticed my heirloom corn and connected me to a federal grant program. 2 weeks later, I got preliminary approval for a $50,000 heritage research grant. News traveled faster than gossip in a church parking lot. When Delilah found out, she stormed into the township meeting yelling about fraudulent federal subsidies. I calmly laid out my papers while she melted down in front of everyone. For the first time, people started realizing she wasn't just annoying, she was unstable. But that public embarrassment pushed her over the edge. Her property, as it turned out, sat on contaminated soil from an old auto repair shop. Cleanup costs over $80,000 and her adjustable mortgage was about to triple. She was trapped, financially ruined, and furious that my farm thrived while her McMansion rotted from beneath. That's when the late-night digging started. My security cameras caught her prowling around with shovels and containers. By January, I was exhausted. There were nights I thought about selling everything, moving back to the city. I'd wake up at 2 a.m., staring out the window at those fields and whisper, "Maybe she's right. Maybe I don't belong here." Then I'd remember Uncle Silas, his journals, his handwritten notes about preserving what others abandoned. "If you don't fight for the soil," he wrote, "you don't deserve the harvest." That line kept me standing. So I fought back quietly but smart. Dr. Yamamoto brought in federal contacts. Environmental Officer Chuck Kowalski confirmed that the contamination under Delilah's home predated me by decades. And then we discovered the real bombshell: my insurance policy covered not just the crop, but genetic material and biodiversity impact, meaning if anyone destroyed it, they'd owe millions in restitution and face federal investigation. Meanwhile, Delilah was unraveling. She'd started releasing European corn borers along our fence, illegal pests that can wipe out entire harvests. Luckily, it was midwinter. They froze to death before sunrise. But releasing invasive species is classified as agricultural bioterrorism. The FBI's Agricultural Crime Unit got involved. Agent Sarah Chen told me Ezra, if she escalates, will be ready. And escalate she did. She tried bribing the same cousin inspector to file fake violations. That sting operation alone got her charged with attempted bribery of a federal official. Still, she wouldn't stop. She made fake social media accounts accusing me of poisoning the soil, emailed my university partners with evidence that I was committing fraud, all traced back to her phone. It wasn't even subtle anymore. By March, her world was collapsing. Foreclosure, pending environmental fines, federal charges piling up. Cornered animals bite hardest. Federal surveillance picked up phone calls where she and her ex-husband, fresh out of prison for insurance fraud, planned something big enough to fix everything. They'd been buying gasoline in cash at multiple stations. Agent Chen warned me to stay alert. April 15th, the night before the Millbrook Agricultural Heritage Festival, was clear and cold. Federal agents hid in unmarked trucks along my property. I sat in the dark kitchen, hands wrapped around black coffee, watching the monitor feed. 11:47 p.m. A shadow crossed the field. Then another. 3 figures carrying gas cans. I recognized the silhouette instantly: Delilah's stiff, perfect posture even in crime. She stopped in the middle of my field, poured gasoline in long lines like she was painting her legacy. They didn't make it far. The moment she struck the lighter, red and blue lights flooded the field. Agents tackled her before the flame reached the dry stalks. She screamed, "You can't arrest me. I'm the HOA president," as if that title came with diplomatic immunity. The cameras caught everything: the gas, the ignition, the confession. The next morning, the festival went on as planned. Sunlight shimmered on rows of heritage corn, and hundreds of farmers, researchers, and families gathered to celebrate agricultural heritage. Then, unbelievably, Delilah showed up free on bail. Sunglasses on, pretending nothing had happened. She grabbed the festival microphone and shouted, "This man is a fraud. He poisoned our land." The crowd fell silent. And then Dr. Yamamoto stepped forward, calm as a surgeon. "Ma'am, Mr. Caldwell's research just recovered 3 corn varieties thought extinct since the 1890s, she said. He's secured $2.8 million in federal funding to preserve America's agricultural history. Then Agent Chen approached the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, the Department of Justice has filed federal charges for agricultural terrorism, insurance fraud, environmental tampering, and conspiracy. The attempted destruction of these heritage crops would have caused over $8 million in research loss. The silence cracked into applause, 500 people standing as Delilah was handcuffed and escorted away. Her face, pale under the morning sun, twisted between rage and disbelief. That's where it ended. No victory laps, no champagne. Just the sound of wind rustling through golden stalks that had almost been lost. Delilah got 18 years in federal prison. Her property was seized to fund environmental cleanup. Her cousin and ex-husband followed her straight into courtrooms. As for me, I went back to planting. The soil doesn't care about lawsuits or headlines, it only cares that someone keeps it alive. And if there's one thing I learned through all this, it's that people like her burn everything they touch, but sometimes fire just clears the field for something stronger to grow.